Right. Hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So let's get wrapped up on our chakra series for the week. Today we're going to talk about the first and the last chakra. So the root chakra color is red, and then we'll talk about the crown chakra, which color of white. And the root chakra is the very baseline chakra, and then the crown is the very top. So let's go ahead, and we've already talked about everything in between, but now because the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom are kind of like interwoven and related, I thought we should do these two together is what I decided in the end. So let's start out with the root chakra. Root chakra, that baseline chakra, that particular chakra is red. It's associated with the element of earth. And as you can imagine, it has much to do with the baseline sense of stability. Its region is governing like right around the very base of our torso, the very base of our trunk. So even like the if we're going to talk about excreting things that are unnecessary, that's all part of the root chakra. The root chakra is, because it has to do with things like stability, and safety and security and building a foundation. If there's a lack of that kind of safety, security, and building a foundation, then it can kind of stir up those vibes of like buzzing around too much without really putting energy directly into something. It can be feelings of like insecurity or distress over resources, or like I'm worried about the present. I'm in a state of distress just because I don't feel super grounded. Hi, Steven. Happy Sunday, sweetheart. So those are some of the components in regards to a root chakra. Now, I'm not here to teach about chakras. I'm using this as the inspiration because obviously if we have a lack of grounded energy to start out with, and I'm not saying that our character could be very grounded there, but it's kind of like that baseline has to be met the way, if we were going to, I picture this more like building a house, building anything. If you want to put up last summer I put up a little pavilion, a pagoda, and you can't have it on uneven ground. It has to be perfectly level. Otherwise, by the time you try to put your little roof on, guess what? It ain't happening. Nothing's going to align. You cannot get those joints put together. You can't put the screws in. So you have to do the work of that baseline no matter what. And it is excruciating. If you've ever built something, you think, oh, it looks pretty level, or you put the level on it, you go, okay, it's a little bit off, and the little bubble in the level is just a little bit tilted. Nope, you can't do it. You will not be able to successfully complete your project and have the roof go on right, even on a simple, 4-posted pavilion that's just going to have a roof on it, a simple roof. You have to do it right. You have to get the baseline right first. So I think that's probably maybe why I wanted to start this way, because where is our character at? What is their baseline look like for our character right now? 7 of Pentacles, they're still in the process of leveling it out. So one of the things I'll say, since the analogy I want to use for the root chakra right now is, trying to get something level because we're going to build on top of it. It oftentimes requires us to bring in more fill dirt or bring in, some gravel so that we start to get, a nice solid foundation, a nice solid platform, and then we level it out. We have a character that's actually still working on that. So wherever our character is at right now, they haven't quite reached the point where they're ready to start putting up their pillars and start building the roof. Basically, at the baseline chakra, we have a character who's been, I'm going to say they've been putting in the right amount of effort to create a sense of stability for themselves in their life, but they are still, it's been taking a little bit of time, but that's always the part that takes a lot of time, but it's well worth it to invest in that. And in fact, if we can look at that as like a labor of love, like, wow, I'm building a sense of stability in myself, in my life, in my environment, and I know that all I'm going to do is build more beautiful things on top of this, then that becomes a labor of love. 10 of Cups. Oh, this is amazing. I definitely feel like our character has been starting to enjoy the work. I feel like somebody has been doing work on themselves instead of feeling like if at one point in their life they felt very scattered. This is a character who's been saying, okay, I felt scattered. but what I want is to create a masterpiece in my life. Then what do I need to do? I probably just need to start organizing and putting my energy into the things in life that I need to take care of first to feel really secure in myself. And then I can have everything else, all of the other accoutrements of a good life, all the satisfaction, all the happiness, all the wonderful relationships that I want to have, all the emotional security. I can have all that once I meet my own baseline. So what does that mean? What is the baseline that our character had to work on? Hi, Denisa. Marie, how are you, honey? Thank you for being here, and thank you for your gracious correction. I appreciate you so much. Lavender Moon, hi, sweetheart. Wheel of Fortune. You know, this is interesting because it says partially it was our character working physically or mentally, doing work on themselves to make themselves feel more grounded, but partially it was them learning how to accept the fact that this is a growing process. It takes as long as it takes, and even working with the flow of the universe, the Wheel of Fortune, realizing that divine timing is at play. This might have been a character who, okay, so I'm going to chuckle right now because this is a lesson I'm still learning. I have had to learn about just allowing things, even myself, to not be ready sometimes because I'm simply not there yet. And being okay with the fact that it takes some time, and that, you know, we can set our sights on something, but we can't do it any faster than what we can do it. Maybe we still have some growing. Maybe we still have some learning. Maybe as much as we're hungry to go and learn new information, you know, say we want to go take a class in something, but we missed that deadline and we have to wait till the next year to do it. That's okay. It is okay to allow divine timing to pass. And so being able to accept and relax into the idea that, look, certain things take a certain amount of time to grow and mature, whether that's us, whether that's our mind, whether that's things that we want, whether that's other people that we would like to connect with, whatever it is. We know what we want, but we're not ready for it, or it's not ready for us, but being peaceful about it and being comfortable with it. The other thing that our character has been doing with this root chakra, the thing they've been working on that's giving them such a grounded energy, is they have learned how to allow themselves the peaceful energy to go ahead and heal, the time it takes to heal. I think what we have is a character who's a go-getter. There's somebody who believes in taking action. There's somebody who has a strong sense of personal responsibility. And so if they want to do something in life, they're like, well, nobody's going to do it but me, so let me just jump in and make it happen. And what they've learned is that go-getter attitude is so beautiful. But even with that willingness to work, there's still, both of these cards say it still takes time. And so their big lesson in life has been about allowing the amount of time that it takes for their soul to be ready for something, for their heart to heal, for any piece of themselves. If they felt delayed and they were frustrated, this character had to let go of the frustration. If they wanted things to happen faster, including like they put a lot of pressure on themselves to say that they're over something when they really weren't, they have accepted, oh, it's okay that actually I've still been healing, and that I still get triggered sometimes, and that I still have days where I cry, or, you know, sometimes I just need to withdraw because something reminds me of an old pain. That's okay for me to do that. That is a huge thing to work on, to accept that part. Oh, I love the fact that these are the kinds of things that our character had to like grow into. It's very beautiful. And we have a King of Cups followed by a Queen of Cups. Okay. So the other aspect of what our character has been like putting the foundation on for themselves, the thing that they have been slowly but surely coming to understand, has a lot to do with, I'll say, balanced relationships. I don't want to talk about only a context of love. But right now, oh my gosh, there is a song, one of my, possibly in my top like 10 favorite songs of all time. There is a song called Patria by Ruben Blades. And it's a song about family basically, but it's about, you know, the homeland. It's about, it's really like a love song to one's country, you know, talking about like what makes, you know, home. And in it, he's saying little brother, the home is many things. It's the, the people of the neighborhood. It's the wisdom in, your grandmother's face. It's your, and they just go on and on, but it's kind of about like, what is home? What is the land that we feel connected to? What is the community that we feel connected to? What is our, mother, fatherland like for us? So what is family? What is home? And I feel like that's so perfect. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because if you see that performed live, I think Robbie DaCosta is singing with Ruben Blades. The song is Patria, but at the end they play a concha shell, and it was amazing. So anyway, great song, great lyrics, great energy to it. And I think it's highly appropriate, especially on Father's Day, right? Happy Father's Day, by the way, everybody out there. Maybe that plays a role in this as well. I would say that our character has been gaining a sense of groundedness as they consider what is a healthy relationship look like, what is, balanced energy look like, maybe between the divine masculine and divine feminine. Now, I'm not trying to say this is men and women per se, but it's the two different opposing energies of the universe that are complementary. So the sun and the moon. I don't care if this is two men or two women. I care about the complementary energy flow. And that's what we're looking at. But I do think that they're questioning everything from like, what is a powerful and healthy, loving relationship looks like. Well, you notice even here, they're different, right? She has a different shell than he does. She's holding hers up, dancing with it. He's, blowing and making music. These two characters, he's nighttime, she's day. They are a perfect complement, but look at how different they are. They're not actually doing the same thing. Even their body posture is a little bit different. They're still moving in the same direction, but the way they'll approach things is different. And so again, what we see is the complement on these two cards. So I think the thing that our character has really been working on is allowing kind of like life to take as much time as it takes to evolve, and the fact that there's divine timing at play, and the fact that even though maybe sometimes we want to push stuff forward, make it happen faster, and it gets frustrating if we feel like we can't, having the grace to say, all right, I surrender. Maybe things are growing. Like we can't speed up tomato plants and make the tomatoes be ripe any faster than what they can. And we accept that. We can't, grow faster or taller when we're kids, and we accept that. So why can't we accept even as adults that there's many things we don't have full control over, and we have to let things play out? Also, why can't we allow ourselves the time that it takes to heal, and maybe sometimes be re-triggered and not think, oh, great, here I am, such a loser. Here I am again, feeling upset about something. Maybe that's part of the goodbye process. Like the more we heal from certain aspects and then we only have little twinges left, maybe when those little twinges of hurt and pain still resurface, maybe that's our chance to say, oh, okay, I was triggered by that one last memory. Well, let me go ahead and, gently kiss that goodbye and say it resurfaced again, so I could evaluate how far I've come, and I could address it gently one more time, kind of massage it out of my system a little bit. Maybe there's a reason that we let go in stages. It's the grieving process of healing and letting things go. And I think our character has come to all of that conclusion along with this. And maybe this is a big culmination. It's about interpersonal relationships and how, accepting that there's probably the most complementary things in our life are not going to be the things that either match the best or are exactly like us. They're not going to be exactly, like a clone of us, but it's going to be something that adds in what we might be, I don't want to say lacking, but we all have skill sets. And then there's other people that have other skill sets, right? And that is such a huge compliment to realize, well, I am looking for something that I won't be able to fully comprehend because it'll be different than what I am. It'll bring different things to the table than what I bring to the table. It'll also have different hurts and different strengths and different weaknesses than my own. But that's the enjoyable journey of seeing how do we complement and mesh together for those differences, perhaps. If our character at the root chakra, the baseline is, this is what they've been working on. And this is like a beautiful process. Actually, it's not like a, strenuous. In fact, a lot of this says it's a passive process, but it is a mindful process. This is what our character has been learning perhaps through their lifespan. is how to feel that balance and accept the things that are opposite them and feel really comfortable in that, and then having it yield that 10 of cups, that emotional satisfaction, because I brought what I brought to the table, which was wonderful, and then something or someone or circumstances in life that I was seeking to fulfill the other things that I was seeking that I don't have myself, those come together, and that's how I reach the 10. It's, it's a real comforting thought that we don't have to have it all figured out on our own. We can have gaps in knowledge that other people can supply. We can have gaps in talents that other people come in with. And it really takes a lot of pressure off of our character to think that they got to do it all the time. And I think that's the underlying foundation there. You mean I don't have to have it all figured out because there's other resources that are going to join forces with me if I allow them to, or if I welcome in the right energies. And even if it takes time, that's okay too. It is a real sense of accepting that things will take the amount of time that they take, but there's no huge rush. There's not a specific date in time that our character has to be, everything has to be worked out into perfection. But there is this acceptance that, you know what, it'll probably perfectly flow into our life anyway, as long as we allow it. As long as we can make space for the things that we don't already possess and say, oh, I don't have to have it all figured out. There's other people with those skills. There's a lover that could complement me, that would bring in some of the other things in my life that'll complement what I can already do. That's such a huge, I think being able to accept another person's energy is really important. And I think that's at the baseline of this. So interesting, because the root chakra work for this character has been all about allowing Aries, baby, you should see what he's done. I told you he cannot fluff a 12-foot Persian rug that I'm sitting on, but you would not believe how much he has worked on it. It is like, it's a mess. It's like I'm sitting on ocean waves over here now. Baby dog, please, why don't you lay on your couch, honey? You have your very own couch. My dog. To return, if the root chakra, the baseline of security is to realize, to have security, it doesn't all just come from us 100%. It comes from the resources that are on this planet. And those resources are other people, other skill sets. I mean, can we be secure in knowing that, yeah, I can feed myself, I can get along just fine. But when it comes to other emotional fulfillment, let's put it this way. If I can sing, not very good, I can carry a tune, but I would much rather hear amazing musicians who can sing songs and outdo me, right? For my emotional fulfillment, I want other, people on this planet to be singing their songs to me. I don't want to just sing. I want to hear them. That adds so much emotional fulfillment. But am I good? Could I create my own music if there was no other person on this planet? Sure. And I'd be all right. But it's a real compliment to have other people's energy around me. I want other people's ideas. I want to, be delighted by the things other people can do, even if technically I could do it too. I still, I listen to book on tape all the time. I love stories to be told to me. I love to hear other people tell their stories because it's enjoyable. Can I tell my own? Sure. But I know what I'm going to say. I don't know what they're going to say. So it's fun to be delighted. Same thing. Is our character good and solid? Sure, they are. But to realize that us being good and secure and solid still doesn't mean that we have every delightful thing. That's okay, that we're still going to welcome some of that in from other individuals around us, other resources around us, and it's going to add value to our already excellent life. But the trick is, we can't think that I'm not allowed to like enjoy that value coming in from others, or if it hasn't arrived fully yet, or if, shame on me if I'm not fully healed enough to completely be ready for it. They got to let go of all those blockages so that it's just more of a passive process of just like, I am all right, who I am, where I'm at, my process of healing, my process of opening up, and my process of receiving other energies. Even though I'm good even when I'm a little bit wounded. I'm still good. I'm still here. All of that, I think, is the baseline of needing to accept where one is at and also receive from those that will complement and add light and energy and fun without saying, oh, well, then I must be codependent, right? If I need others. Look, I don't need other people to sing songs to me, but I love it. It adds to my life. To me, I think that's maybe the big, I don't know if I've explained that very gracefully, but that's the big difference. It's not codependent to enjoy the other attributes and the other energies that can grace our lives. On the other hand, it doesn't make us less than that. We would maybe not always be ready to receive that. It's a real place of radical acceptance, which has been kind of what all these chakra stories have been about. Is like paring things down to the most gentle and raw truth, and just saying, oh, well, that makes it kind of easy. I can just enjoy what others bring into my world. Yep, it's that simple. So with that root chakra, that's what I would say the big message is that the character has been learning about complement, learning that they already have enough, but when they would like to receive, it's really about being able to receive. I think that's been the biggest message for our character. All right, now let's switch over and we're going to go to the crown chakra. And I am going to timestamp this at the end because I want to do, after the crown chakra, I want to do a recap of kind of what the messages were for all of them. All right, so hi everyone, really good to see you. Oh my God, San Juanita, that's amazing. You found a rock, a fossil? That is so cool. What is it of? Do you know? Is it like one of the thunder rocks or an ammonite, or I'm all into fossils and rocks, so that sounds really awesome to me. Hi, Nina. Ian, thank you for being here, sweethearts. Denisa, hi. Emerald Virgo. Nice to see so many of you. Hi, Amanda. All right, so let's go ahead and get on into this. So for the crown chakra is the one at the top, right? So the crown chakra, the Sanskrit word for it means 1,000 petals. And it's kind of the idea that we are opening up our consciousness. And so if the root chakra is all about finding like our place on this earth, to put our feet on solid ground and feeling secure in who we are, and then we work up through all the other chakras that we've already talked about, and then we finally come to like self-actualization. We come to that that point of I would say like it's consciousness. It's by the way, the color is white or also deep purple, and I just chose to wear white because I don't like purple and red together that much. Sorry. But with that in mind, it also has to do with even ecstasy. It can be considered like a real connection to the divine and to the spiritual side of life. However, and I think this is interesting, with the crown chakra, if there are like blockages or issues with the crown chakra, it is said that it can manifest as like cynicism in regards to like spiritual matters. And it can also, on the conversely side of things, it can actually manifest as somebody who's like so focused only on spiritual stuff at the detriment of like realizing, okay, we are a blend of like spiritual beings, but we live in these mortal bodies that are very connected to the earth and earth cycles, right? We need food, we need air. You try doing without food and air and water, and you're going to find out real fast that it's fine to be super spiritual, but you just failed to take care of the physical, and you're not going to be here very long. So the importance of knowing that life is a spiritual existence as well as a physical existence, and maybe both sides are equally as divine and necessary. Maybe to me that would be the best viewpoint to have when we talk about, you know, crown chakra being like balanced. Now again, I'm not here to tell anybody how a crown chakra should be balanced, but I will say I like the idea of, you know, the as above, so below, the spiritual life and the physical life. These were old philosophical questions that the ancient Greek philosophers would argue, you know, is mankind, are we spiritual beings having a mortal experience? Are we mortal beings trying to get to a spiritual existence? And I guess I'm not an intelligent philosopher, but I would just say my thoughts are both are equally as necessary, both are equally as beautiful. And I think embracing the two It's my body is super important to me. I'm so grateful that I get to drive around this vehicle. I mean, yeah, it's got lots of cellulite and it's got lots of stuff I'd like to change, and weight will always be a struggle, always has been. I'm 6 foot tall, 200-pound woman, right? That's always been my thing. But I don't hate myself. I would never do that. I wish I looked different, but I don't hate myself because I still see that each body truly is beautiful, and we're so lucky to have these little vehicles to drive around, or big vehicles in my case, to drive around this earth. And so I kind of think of body positive energy as like loving and really being grateful for the skin that we're in. Regardless, who cares about what it looks like? I care more about what it can do for me. It can allow me to touch and paint and do all kinds of things. So I'm super grateful. So I think with the crown chakra, when we connect that aspect of the physical body to the spiritual self, maybe the act of loving oneself like that, maybe that is a connection to the spiritual aspect, realizing that it's divine, and perhaps accepting all that we are, but still tending to it, the way we would take care of our house or our car or our pets or our garden. We give those things love and attention. Why not give that to us? So that's my spin on this. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's just kind of the way I break it down and view it. So the first card out in regards to the crown chakra is we have a 7 of Swords, which can be hiding from something. So we have a character right now that could be tucking themselves away, and they're hiding from something, some either sense of awareness or some maybe truth. The Chariot. The 7-7. Okay, so super divine numbers. So we have a character that is either resisting the truth, which is they are powerful enough to achieve anything that they want in life, and they're trying to tell themselves, I don't think so. I don't know that I have that connection to my higher self that will help guide me to, whatever my path is. I don't know that I really think I could do that. And they're telling themselves that, but that's not true. They know that they're strong enough. I mean, literally, they know that they're strong enough to do anything. So why is our character playing small? What is the cause for them to play small? 3 of Swords in the reverse. They're trying really hard to act like they either weren't wounded by something that maybe they were. 3 of Swords in the reverse is either I don't want to get wounded, and that's why I won't put myself back out there. I'm protecting myself. I'm hiding myself away because I don't want to get hurt again when I just healed from it. Ascension. We have the Judgment card. Okay, so our character, this is, okay, I want to be careful with how I say this because I'm never trying to get preachy or anything like that, and I am not a terrific person. Okay, at all. There are people in life that I can be like, oh, whatever, I can just let it go. Who cares? They did me dirty or whatever, but that's just who they are. They don't know any better, and I can let it go. And then there's other people where I'm like, oh, hell no. Those people, they did that on purpose. I stay away from them. You're not getting my forgiveness. I'm just moving on. I know you're not sorry. You're not going to be sorry, most likely. And even if you are, it doesn't matter. You did it because you wanted to, and you're out of my life. And I'm a big believer in putting up boundaries with people that would intentionally cause us harm. I do not normalize bad behavior. I don't think that's a good idea. That's just me. Doesn't mean I'm right. But the reason I'm about to say this and carefully quantify how I'm saying it is because this is a big ask on our character. Our character is afraid, and they've been hiding away because they don't want to get hurt again. But this card challenges them to say, but sweetheart, can you make peace with something enough to let yourself be back on the path that you're supposed to be on, which is a path of love and light? You are meant to be in a beautiful partnership. You are meant to be able to have love where you feel safe and secure. Your higher self has so much to share with others. But if you hide yourself away because you're like, hey, listen, the best way to not get hurt is to not, put hope or trust or faith in others that can disappoint you. I can understand what that is, why our character would think that way, but this is asking our character to make peace with it in whatever way they need to. It does not mean that we have to then say, okay, you know what, the fact that somebody hurt me, and there are I don't ever talk about abusive storylines, and so I don't want to start delving into that here either. But if there was a reason that somebody had to cut a person out of their life permanently, this does not say you should take them back into your life, nor does it say you have to forgive per se, but it says you have to maybe allow yourself to move on from that one memory so that you get back on the track of the divine in you is supposed to be able to be seen and cherished by others that will see that divine, that will be healthy enough to see that divine in you. But if you hide it from everyone in order to protect one's heart, even though it's understandable that one would want to do that, you would be denying your divine light shining as brightly as it's supposed to. And so I hope I've explained that as carefully as I'm trying to, because it's not to tell a character that they have to forgive somebody who did something unkind to them. And it's not be like, oh, you need to be the bigger person. Like, that's what I meant when I said I don't want to be like preachy about stuff. I think it's more about the individual. I'm only concerned about our main character right now. And our main character is beautiful. And our main character has a lot to share. And wouldn't it be sad if all that light that they have in them, all that divine, that they would add something so spectacular into the collective and into other people's lives that they would interact with? Wouldn't it be sad if they never did that because somebody else mangled their poor little heart and they said, I can't do that again. That hurts too much. Wouldn't it be sad if they didn't get a chance to actually shine so brightly and be cherished by those who would not mangle their heart? That's the way I would present this. So we have a 3 of Wands in the reverse. We have a Queen of Wands sideways. Our character already knows this. They're working on this. They're working on reopening their energy. They know that they have light to shine, a lot of light. I mean, we got fireworks going on. There's some Katy Perry song that's trying to bust into my head right now. Is it something about fireworks? I don't know why. I hear Katy Perry's voice singing. And I can't even grasp the words other than I think firework is in it. This is a character who knows better. They know that they have a ton of light. They know what they're supposed to shine. They know what they're supposed to share. They just are in that process of, no, I don't think I need to. Yeah, they're lying to themselves. They know that they need to. I feel like this is a character who has a really beautiful life to share and to shine. Okay. But what they've been doing is getting their energy vibe up. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is all about, putting a foundation under their feet. So maybe this is where we have to revert back to that root chakra, because it's very much putting my feet on solid ground, rebuilding myself one piece at a time, saying, no, I know that I am here and my life will be more flavorful by allowing other people's energy to grace my life and for me to grace theirs with my energy. I do know that, but I first needed to just get a baseline level of I'm okay again before I'm ready to start sharing energy with others. My higher self says, you know that you have a ton to share. You know this. Even though somebody else didn't carry our character's heart gently, even though someone else was careless or hurt our character, and they've needed to withdraw for a while, they aren't going to stay withdrawn. But they have been. Let me go back to that card that has our little bit of a lie on it, that 7 of Swords, the Soul, the Fool card. Okay, so they are a very brave individual, but they have definitely tucked themselves inside of like a little cave right now. And I'm not going to say they've been lying to themselves about how brave they are, but I do think they're lying to themselves. I think if our character got disappointed in something, I think they knew they were taking a risk when they did it. Maybe this is a character who fell head over heels for somebody and they said, I'm going to love you anyway. And there's a little piece of them that says, oh my God, that hurt so freaking bad that none of that worked out the way it was supposed to be. But I think deep down, maybe our character knew this is a big risk, but I'm doing it. And I already oh, that song, I Would Have Loved You Anyway. Trisha Yearwood. That's like their anthem for once they have this final little breakthrough. That's what our character is working on. They're about to realize I perhaps did choose maybe a relationship. This is not something that happened to our character without their consent. Okay, in this storyline, this is a very precise topic that we're talking about. Maybe it's love, maybe it's friendship. It doesn't have to be about romance. But I will say this is not a bad thing that happened. They were not a victim per se. They are a person that chose to do something, and then it really hurt because it didn't work out the way they thought. So I do want to make that stipulation for this particular story, for this particular character. They picked something knowing it was risky, but doing it anyway because they're brave, because maybe their higher self said, I feel compelled to do this. I feel like I need to do this. I feel like I want to do this. And I think the sooner they accept that maybe they fell for somebody, they picked it, but deep down, maybe they knew it was risky, and it didn't work out great for them, perhaps. But you think of how much more confidence our character will have when they go, you know what? I still listen to my either higher self or my reason to do something. I did it for me. I did it because that's who I am. I did it because even if it was going to hurt, I wanted the experience, or I had to love somebody that way, because sometimes giving love, that's it. We're not going to get anything back, but we do it anyway because we love them. It's like, oh, heaven help me. I love them anyway. I know I'm not going to get anything back out of this. I know I'm going to lose in this equation, but I still have to give this to this person because that's what I feel motivated to do. I have to give this of myself. I don't know why, but I have to do it. I think the sooner our character just acknowledges that, look, a queen of wands will always do what they want to do. I know this is gonna be a little harsh, perhaps, but what's in my head right now is do whatever the fuck I want. I love whoever I want. When a character gets to the little bit of sassy energy where it's like, what do you mean? Of course I gave him my love. I felt like it. I did what I do. That is reclaiming one's power. Now it's like, oh, did it suck? Did it hurt? Did I get nothing for it? Yes. But I did it because I do whatever the fuck I want. I said I loved that person. It's not about whether or not they're going to love me back. This is me making my choices in this lifetime to be authentic. And if it was authentic for me to do what I do, now guess what? It doesn't hurt anymore, because it wasn't about the payback. It wasn't about what was going to be received. It's that I lived authentically. I lived according to my higher self that guided me towards something. I felt something real and I gave it. I gave what I wanted to because I did whatever the fuck I wanted. I'm sorry that I keep saying it that way because it's supposed to be so spiritual. And now Potty Mouth Kate has just taken over. The thing is, that's where the power comes from. It doesn't have to be that somebody is cussing their head off in order to speak about something spiritual. But again, when we talk about the balance between being spiritual and enlightened versus being real, and how, like maybe to have a chakra that's actually balanced, we can't be too like, well, I always use perfect words and speak soft with enlightenment, because sometimes to be enlightened also means you're raw and you're real and you just spit it out. And it's, like I'm thinking right now, soul singers that just, they have that rasp to the voice and you just hear, like you feel their soul singing to you. That's every bit as great as like, the angelic, choirs of singers that sing like angels. I feel like both are a representation of something real and true. And that's kind of, I guess, why I'm in a cussy mood with this, because this is putting a much more powerful, empowered, and happy spin on this character did what they needed to do. Doesn't matter what the payout is. It was about her making the right action for herself in this lifetime, or himself. As they are getting more grounded, and this is their big breakthrough, I did it because it's what was right for me. I loved you because it was what was right for me. Now it doesn't hurt, even if you didn't give me anything back, because I still did what I needed to. I think that's the best way I could describe the story that we've seen here. It's Why does the higher self guide her though to give like that, even if she's not getting anything back? I have to say that we might have to come back to that Ascension card, the Judgment card, because we could be getting something that comes back around. Okay, so we have Justice, we have the Maze, which is Wheel of Fortune, and we have the Temperance. And you notice how many times we see two faces on this. My thought process on this is two different ways I could see this. Either she gave the best of herself to somebody first, because her giving unconditional love, and I'm going to keep talking about this like it's in the context of love, even though really this could have been about anything. This could be a friend who helps another person, a business colleague who really pours themselves into giving assistance to, whatever the business is, even if it's not theirs, but they believe in the cause. This could be somebody volunteering for something and they are depleting themselves and it's exhausting, and they finally go, wow, okay, even, sometimes people get involved in stuff and they think it's going to be a good volunteer activity. They pour their energy in, they believe in it, and then they find out that something still goes belly up, or, there was a bad apple in the group and it wasn't all they thought it was. But their heart was true and they did what they believed in, and they did it for all the right reasons. So they can always feel powerful about that. But also, now that we see these two faces a multitude of times, this says to me, sometimes the reason a person should maybe always listen to their higher self, especially when my higher self is not going to say, you should walk up and be rude to that stranger. Our higher self is going to guide us to be doing good things. Our higher self might say, if you love them, let them know. Or, if you believe in this for all the right reasons, for a good cause, you want to put your energy into it. You do it because you understand that you believe it will make a positive impact in the world, or you believe that giving your emotions to something is actually it makes you feel good to do it. It feels right. Then maybe that's why our character follows through with it. And in this case, because we have two different faces, a multitude of times, it may just be that she's one who gave first. It doesn't actually mean that it's not going to be reciprocated. This is about the balance of the universe. And sometimes with the Justice card, I don't even want to talk about it like karmic justice, where it's like, oh, somebody's going to get their karma. This could be that she gave love freely and wholly to someone who had nothing to give in return. There was not going to be an equal exchange, not at that point in time anyway. But you notice how over time, and now this kind of links us back to maybe some of the message from that root chakra, finding a way to understand that sometimes we put energy into something and then we don't even know what the outcome of that is. We did our part. I felt drawn, compelled, spiritually guided to give to something. And that's it. And nothing happened to me. Like, I didn't get anything back. I didn't even see the outcome of the energy that I gave to them, that I gifted to them. All I know is I felt compelled to do it. Over time, you don't know sometimes, like I think a great example of this is like teachers who, they don't get paid well. They give all their hours and they teach and they help the next generation, and they have no clue what's going to happen. Once those kids are out of their class, maybe their third grade teacher, or I remember this, my first grade teacher, she made, I know it's first grade, right? But I vividly remembered. It was wonderful. Well, apparently I wasn't the only one, because when she retired, when I was in my late 20s, there were, I'm talking like thousands of us that went to her retirement party. And it was amazing, because I was like, oh my God, all of us adults that went through her class, all those years, how is it? She didn't know that she'd made an impact for us, but I still remember baby beluga. There are things that stay with the person that we give a gift to, and the person who gives us that gift may not know what a gift it was. They may not know how that impacted our ability to grow in life. And so I think it's a great example. But in this case, our lead character has gifted their energy to someone, and they didn't know that over time, that gift of like pure love has helped shape somebody. Maybe it even helped them, get untwisted. Maybe giving somebody pure love, even though it was painful because we got nothing in return for it other than maybe a broken heart, because they had nothing to give us at that point in time, but we don't know how much it could have straightened out something for them, got them into a place where they could then grow. Over time, balance starts to occur. And I kind of feel like our character was super important in helping another person to find maybe a healing energy. Temperance can be about healing and balancing. You notice that we have all this purple and white, which are the colors of the crown chakra, right? Well, violet and white light. We have a violet, river with the white feather on it. And it just kind of feels like there's something where our character, although it wasn't their job perhaps to have to give unconditional love to someone to then help that person to grow and develop, but somehow we did it anyway. And there will be some kind of a karmic balancing act. There will be some, it doesn't mean this person's going to come back in and love them right someday. It's very possible. But what if it's just that we sent this person onward in life with the meal that they needed to carry them through? It's like sometimes in life people don't know that their love or their kind action made all the difference in another person's entire life journey. It helped them break through karma. It helped them assimilate that love as surely as if they'd eaten a meal when they were starving. And then we have no idea that we just saved that person's life. So I think this says for our character to, number one, realize that if they felt compelled to do it, they can just own that and say, I did what the fuck I wanted. I wanted to love that person, so I did it. And then to be able to say, maybe I don't know why I wanted to do that, but maybe there was a reason. Maybe the universe spoke to me and said, this person needs this kind of unconditional love. This person, the reason you feel compelled to give it is because you can tell they're starved for it. No, they're too hungry and they haven't got anything in their pocket to give you back. But is it worth it to think that maybe you helped them change their whole life? Yeah, then it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Will our character receive something back in maybe another form? Oh yeah, that's the other thing about this card. There will be some kind of return for our character in maybe a totally different formula. It may not be that this person ever comes back in and offers them love, but our character will have a return of their energy in some other format. Maybe in other good karmic brownie points. Maybe their life will grow in a different direction thanks to the fact that they once gave to somebody else. I just think it's important to know that not everything comes back in a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not necessarily that our character will have, will be receiving something so perfect that where it's oh, I gave this person my love, now they're going to give me their love later on. No, it may not come back from that person. It might come from somebody totally differently. But there's a reason for everything that our character feels compelled to do that is an act of goodness, even though those acts of goodness can come at a great personal cost. But there is a payback, is what this says. And I think our character already knows all that. Warrior Princess, thank you so much. You are so sweet. Thank you. I'm so glad, and I hope that you never have embarrassment over doing something beautiful and something kind. That's so beautiful and so strong. Thank you, guys. Lisa's left. Thank you. Hey, OM, I agree. Hi, Mia G. Good to see you, sweetie. Okay, so I want to go ahead and do a recap now, because hang on, I'm jotting this down. The reason I want to do a recap, so 48 minutes, 11 seconds, is because we've done all the chakras now. And I did them all in different directions. Signs and six. Thank you. Thank you, Angel. Is so generous. But I did all of these chakras. We started out with the throat chakra. I kind of started out throat, and then I went to heart, which shows the differences and can be the bridge between all the other chakras. And I started out with the throat chakra because I felt like, they say that human beings, we have the gift of communication and we have the curse of communication, right? We have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, but 1 mouth. So, maybe we're supposed to do a little bit less of this and a little bit more looking and listening and, taking action and maybe talk a little bit less. And what we came out with for that throat chakra, and what I was so fascinated by, was the idea that since blue is a color of the throat chakra, and blue is a rare color in nature, maybe use our amazing energy of speech a little sparingly. And the concept that came out from the throat chakra was speak only the words that you need to say to create change, and don't speak until you're ready to create change. And I thought that was probably the most poignant message out of maybe all of the chakras. But let's go ahead and break this down one at a time. So if our character for the root chakra, if the big message was they have to be able to get to the place where they feel comfortable actually receiving other things that will complement and enhance their life, and allow themselves to know, I'm already good enough as I am, but I receive other things that will complement my life. I'm not hungry for it, but I have to learn to receive it. That was the message for the root chakra. The sacral chakra was all about allowing space for other people's emotional offers instead of just thinking from our emotional space, like, okay, I'm already braced for a disappointment, or I'm just sure that things won't probably be satisfying. It says, wait, get out of our own thought processes about emotional charge and consider other people, how they display their emotions. So a lot of this has to do, at least so far, to me, the messages were about a character overall who needed to be more able to receive, a character who was more able to allow themselves to observe how other people present their emotions. Then the solar plexus chakra, the big message was, to distill things down and say the only actions I'm going to take are the ones that I really want. If I actually want peace, if I actually want love, if I want to say the words that I love somebody, why instead would I invest in having an argument with them first? Like, if I'm going to reconnect with somebody to talk to them because I want to talk to them and I want to fight with them, why do that? Why not say, but I don't want to fight with them. What I actually want to tell them is I love you and I want this problem to be resolved. So the solar plexus is about only taking the action that we actually want. Then we got to the heart, and the heart was more the message of pretty much until a character considers the results of their actions, they're not probably going to be able to make a change. So if we keep, we had a character that was like saying, oh, I'm over her, as long as I every day remind myself not to think about her. And it was like, are they ever going to realize the consequences of that action? Every day that they intentionally avoid something and use their energy to avoid doing it, it means they're not going to talk to that person. But why are they spending all their energy trying to remind themselves of what they're insisting they don't want to do? And it was like, look at the consequences of actions. If I keep doing this, then the result will be nothing. If I'm going to do something, if my heart actually wants to do something, if my heart has an emotion to it, if I want balance, then I have to take actions that'll create balance. But again, it's first understanding what the heart actually wants. Then we got to that throat chakra, which is about only speaking words that are going to create the action, and use words sparingly. And then we got to the third eye, which had a message of, like, in order for a character to change the outcome in their life, they had to first be able to see the divine energy within themselves, to then be able to envision themselves on these different timelines, because it's really hard to picture happy outcomes and joyful relationships and loving relationships if we're constantly only viewing ourselves as, broken, imperfect, what's wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. They had to see themselves in a beautiful light before they could envision themselves having a beautiful outcome. And then finally, for that crown chakra, it was more about, listening to if I'm motivated to do something that's beautiful, do whatever the fuck I want. I do the good thing no matter what, because that was me being empowered. That is me doing what's right. That is me being someone who can display my power. I do the good action because I picked it. I chose to do this. No, I don't know exactly why. I don't know exactly what the outcome will be, but I own my action. My action is a beautiful action. So I do it for the right reason, and I do it without expectation of reward or punishment. I just do what I feel, uplifted enough to do. And that's where my power and grace comes from. So that's how I would look at this entire series of the chakras. It kind of felt like it was a message that was either repeating sometimes or adding little subtle nuances. But I would say this was all about personal empowerment and the way a character learns to give and receive and understands, like, I'm brave for doing the thing that feels right, even if I risk heartbreak. It's not about that. It's about, I can still hold my head up and say, but I did that because I followed what I knew was right. And I did that because it's my choice. It's very much, I think that this chakra series, at least that to me is how we recapped this. So anyway, now Amanda Curry, thank you again, sweetheart. Thank you. You were so generous, you guys. Thank you so much. So much love to you guys. I appreciate you. So I had a special request that we kind of elaborate a little bit on one of those chakras, which was the message that came out of the solar plexus. Now, in that one, the solar plexus, and by the way, shout out to Lotus the Virgo. But in that storyline, let me go ahead and jot this down now. 5503. Okay, so in the storyline of the solar plexus chakra, what we saw was that solar plexus is that house of willpower around the diaphragm, right? And what we actually saw is it turned out to be a storyline of a Two of Cups that were both reaching that place where they realized, if this is what I really want, then why am I wasting time staying away from a person that I want? Why am I wasting time, basically, if I want peace and growth, then why am I not putting energy into exactly that? And we got to an end point in the story where it looked like both of them had come to that same conclusion. So we're just going to do a quick recap and kind of like check in on those characters. And I thought maybe it would be nice to say, what is the thing that's going to help these characters most of all? Basically, to do the thing that characters really want to do, it does require some kind of courage. So what is going to be the most assistance to this Two of Cups couple in finding their courage to follow through with what that solar plexus is saying? Okay, so Five of Pentacles. Sometimes the thing that gives us the greatest courage is considering what happens if we don't do something. It's like, okay, well, we're scared, yeah, but imagine if we don't do the thing that we're scared to do. This is what life's going to look like. We're going to be forever feeling like we missed out. How long can we trudge around in the snow before we go knock on that door where the warm light is? We're going to get frostbite. It's going to be way more uncomfortable to stay out in the frozen cold snow instead of just, cowboy up, cowgirl up, and go knock on that person's door. Go talk to the person that we care about. Go find out, do you feel the way I feel? Because being out here in the cold is bitter and my fingertips are getting frozen and it's really uncomfortable. Isn't it less uncomfortable to go toward warmth and at least knock on that door and look for that shelter? Look for let's come in from the cold a little bit. That's actually, I know it's like the anti-way to look at how do I find courage, by thinking about the worst case scenario and then say, oh, I don't want that. But that is kind of a good idea. That does nudge us. Like, I'm petrified of snakes. I also am not somebody who likes like high dives. I get vertigo on heights, and I can't hardly swim. So if you put me up on like a high dive and said I needed to jump, or there's a snake behind me, I would jump. I would do that. That would be less scary to me than having a snake come at me. So sometimes we have to pick the less scary option, right? Heaven forbid the snake jump in with me, because then that's a whole other issue. We have Five of Wands in the reverse. It also says for our characters to get their courage to actually move toward each other for either reconciliation or just to create this romance in the first place, to not look at it as, I know it's going to be a problem, we're going to fight, it's going to be all kinds of stuff that we have to work through that's really hard, but rather to go in only thinking about, this is all going to be a way that we can create resolution. We are not looking at it as we have to fight against obstacles, but rather we get to create outcomes. It's subtle, but it's different. if somebody is like, oh, I'm going to go do this, whatever, some triathlon or something, instead of them saying, I've got to force myself to do this, it's more like, I get to go and, let my body do what it was built to do. I'm a physical creature that happens to love physical movement. Will it push me? Sure, but I'm going to do the thing I was built for. I was made for this. It feels like fives are numbers of change. So it's really about changing their perspective. If they're going to gain the courage to go ahead and face each other and maybe, give energy to a relationship. We also have a Queen of Swords. It's time to really speak truth. And the kind of truth that is guided by the higher self. You notice we have like a little hole in the clouds up here. We have the little guide flying overhead. And it kind of says, because the swords are our thoughts and our communication to go, I know this is solar plexus chakra that we're expanding on, but it says awful lot of blue there. That throat chakra is probably really important here. Speak the words that are true. The words that are even the tough things, right? And it can be tough to be brave enough to say how we really genuinely feel. But to say the words, all of it, the reason I want to be with you is because this, and this I admire about you, I fell in love with. Tell our partners the things that, why do we want to talk to them? What is it about them that draws us to them? Nothing makes, I think, somebody feel more open to like collaborating than to hear why someone admires them. What are those traits? To feel really seen by somebody is an amazing, amazing gift. And so if a character can begin a dialogue with, what I fell in love with? I fell in love with this about you and that about you. I love these things about you. I love all of these things. These things add something beautiful into my life. These are the reasons that I want to work things out with you. It feels like that would be possibly, that sets a tone for like, I'm on your side. I've got your back. I see your value. That seems to be, not only is it important for our character to express that to the other person, it might be important for them to hear themselves out loud say, why do I care about this person? Why would I want to be with them? There's a whole laundry list of reasons why. Why do I love them? Why do I care about them? Why do I respect them? Why do I see them as a partner, my partner? 6 of Pentacles, Page of Cups, 4 of Pentacles. And I think it's a great way for these characters to also, if they can be prepared to lay that kind of truth on the line. Number one, I think it's a very empowering thing. It's not something where it's like, asking, will you please be with me? I want you. I need you. It's like, no, I can tell you point blank why I think you're incredible. That feels more empowering to the individual who's giving those, it's not even compliments. It's expressing, why do I want anything? Remember, we're talking from the solar plexus. Solar plexus is I want. It's a house of willpower. I want these amazing attributes that you possess, because with those attributes that you have in my life, it makes something better for my life also. That kind of energy might lead to the collaboration of the reciprocated energy from the other person. Like, well, this is the reason I wanted to be with you. It's the same thing. This also brings them to a place where they both can maybe then apologize for the times they didn't make each other feel that way. The 4 of Pentacles is about holding on. It's about holding back. I think it's like, I'm sorry that I held back from actually reassuring you of those things. To me, if that's the dialogue that has to happen for 2 people, and if they've got to find the courage to get to those words, imagining what it would be like if they don't ever find the way to say those words, that could be kind of lonely. And also, even if worst case scenario, say only one person feels this way and the other one doesn't, are we gonna at the end of our life look back and say, damn, I really wish I hadn't told somebody that I thought that they were, intelligent and funny and powerful. I loved these different things about them. And I'm sorry I didn't tell them more of that, because that's why I had wanted them in my life. Are we going to look back at the end of our life and be like, damn, I sure wish I hadn't said all that good stuff? Probably not. It's like, if there's a way to fix something and heal something, it's to admit why we wanted someone in the first place and maybe let them know it too. Because this is what we've been holding on to. This is the thing. Like, I if I didn't say that to somebody, I wish I had. So now I'm saying it now, whatever the outcome is. And there's no guarantees, just because with that solar plexus is about I want. It's not about I want you to do this and now you're going to. It's about I express what I actually want. Here's the truth. And here's the real reason why I want this. I don't want to talk to somebody because I don't care what they say. I want to talk to you because I like the sound of your voice, because I like the way you think. I want to hear more from you. I want to collaborate with you. We have the star. There's a real good opportunity for these two to heal things, but to heal things at a profound level. If a Two of Cups relationship, which is what we saw if you go back to that solar plexus storyline, if a Two of Cups can come back into a healed union, it seems to me that instead of saying, I'm sorry for the past, and well, you know how you made me feel in the past, blah, 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 and I'm guarded, but I still want to be with you. You notice we don't have any of that. We have only this kind of unique way to heal things, which is to tell one another, these are the things that make you shine. These are the things that I love about you. These would be the reasons I'd want to be with you. These are the reasons I want us to work things out. That's such a different energy to be in, instead of be like, so why'd you do that? And you hurt me when you did that. And I don't like this, and don't ever do that again. That's such a negative way to attempt to get back on the same page, I think. And this storyline shows us maybe a positive way to do that. That could, I'm not saying I'm right. It's all fiction, right? But it could be the way to actually get a connection to genuinely heal. Saying the things that somebody likes, and then saying, and I'm sorry if I didn't tell you that. I'm sorry if I didn't make you feel those things, because these are the reasons I cared about you. These are the reasons I wanted to be with you. That's such a much stronger position. It doesn't sound like a fearful person anymore either. I'm sorry if you didn't know that these are all the beautiful things I saw in you. I should have made sure that you knew that. That feels like somebody who is like owning it. That feels like a powerful person. That's not a scared person coming in like, I hope you'll forgive me. No, it's taking charge of something. I don't know. I really like this. I fully enjoyed that solar plexus story anyway, but I like it even more now, because this doesn't make anybody like grovel. This doesn't make, if the reason we want to be with anybody is to balance something out because we cared about that person, don't we want the best, the healthiest, I care about you, you care about me, we lift each other up, we have each other's back kind of energy? Because anything less than that, and it's just going to be a drag. 8 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. And then it comes around to, you know what? If two people had to be at a distance for a period of time in order to understand this, they had to go and they had to think about this. Maybe they had to jot it down. Like, why do I still think about this person? Why did I love them? What was it that I wanted from them? Why did I feel drawn to them in the first place? What were all the beautiful things that made me even want to give my energy to that connection? I think there had to be time and space for our characters to figure that out, to look at things in a way to like understand one's own motives. Why did I pick that person in the first place? That maybe is why one person stays in our mind more than others, because it's like, once we can answer that question anyway, I picked that person because of all these wonderful traits, not about, because they made me feel some kind of way, or because I just wanted to pour my energy into somebody. No, it's like, what did they have that made them special to me? Why did I pick them? Because I did this. It's not about how they hurt me or what went wrong. It's about I picked them because of what drew me to them. And I think being away from a character, and these characters, both of them obviously, have had time to think about that. I think that also heals the wounds and the rifts of having been in a time frame of separation, because it's like, wow, I really had time to think about You, my life with you in it, my life without you in it. And here's what I realize you bring to my life. Here's what you add to my life. Here's why you make me happy. Here's why I would want to still have that happiness again. It's so much more empowered, I think, for our characters to be able to see it in that light. Now, what if our characters don't have answers like that? Then maybe if they sit down and they think about this and they can't answer those questions, why did I care about them? What did they add to my life? Maybe that'll be the other way that a character can let go of the wrong relationship, when they ask themselves, what was it that I liked about that person? And there's very minimal things to say. Maybe that's how they can distinguish, okay, I was in a place where I wanted to give to someone, but actually I didn't pick the right person to bestow my energy upon. I was hoping that I had done right, but maybe it was more about the place that I was in at that time. It just feels like this could really help characters sort through why they wanted what they want and still want. And why would it be right for them, or in this case, wrong for them, if they can't answer those questions with like a definitive answer. So if both of these characters are in that same energy space where they've been able to think about that in the time that they've been apart, then I would say the time apart, it doesn't even matter why they were apart. It's just a good thing that they were, because they needed this perspective. So where is each character at right now? We have an 8 of Swords. We have a King of Pentacles. This is somebody who's sailing on their sunflower ship through the fjords on their way. They are able to understand, like as they've been moving forward. I'm carrying your love with me, West Virginia down to Tennessee. I'll be moving with the good Lord's speed. Right? Isn't that George Strait? That song comes up from time to time in my mind. I feel like what they're stuck on is, I still need to talk to my person, because if I can't forget them, then maybe it's because I still got to go toward them. And if they're answering these questions for themselves, this could be a divine masculine, doesn't have to be, but we do have, a King of Pentacles. So we have a divine masculine who is, sailing forward, and they are aware that I'm still stuck on her. I'm stuck on her because if she doesn't know how I actually felt, then I need to go tell her. If she's my sunflower, oh, Post Malone. That's sunflowers in my head now. Love that song. Because you're my sunflower. Then they're sailing their way back into her life for a reason. 3 of Pentacles in the reverse. It ain't because she invited them in. She hasn't talked to them yet. 6 of Wands. But they feel good about doing this. The Tower is here. They got out of their own way. They're doing this out of happiness. They're moving toward her for joy. They're moving toward her with happiness. Nope, she didn't invite me in. Nope, she's not calling me back in. But I know that I'm stuck on her, and I now know why. And I feel good about knowing where I'm headed and why I'm headed there. I got to get this off my chest. This is like when a character gets to that point where they know what they need to say and why. And again, they know I got to do it for me. I got to tell her how I feel. Then it's so different, because it's not about like, God, I hope she'll hear me out. It's not the hang dog energy. This is somebody who feels excited that they know what they need to say. They've come to a conclusion. Okay, so what about her? And remember, this could be same-sex couple. It doesn't have to be either or. We have 8 of Cups. We have the Lovers. On her side, she is saying, I am choosing my path. And my path is, I need to go talk to them. Lovers card. I pick them. I do whatever the fuck I want. I'm sorry that keeps going up, but this is the attitude of this possibly feminine right now. I am choosing this. I am choosing to talk to them. We saw out of a different deck when we did the root chakra, we saw this. Wait, root chakra, now I'm blending them. Sorry, root chakra or crown chakra. Crown chakra. We saw the Fool. I took that leap of faith. In the deck that we were using then, it was the Soul card. I take the path that I need to take. I listen to my higher self. I take the risk. I tell somebody that I love them. I tell somebody that I pick you. She showed up as a Queen of Wands who was sideways but was gaining their personal empowerment to say, no, I picked you because I always pick what is true for me, what is real for me. And I'll take the risk, and I'm brave enough to do it. I'm in charge of how I feel and what I want in my life, and I'm brave enough, courageous enough to give it my best shot. I will do what is right for me. Six of Pentacles in the reverse, Five of Swords. She might also be saying, and what I realized in the past is I might have put up some blockages to fully getting what I wanted last time around. I either wasn't feeling like they were going to be giving me what I wanted, so I just put a block up with them, or I realized that when I block things, they can't possibly give to me anything that would reciprocate. So she's in a place where she's taking a leap of faith if she wants to, only if she wants to. And this says she's going to ask herself that question. What is it that I want to do? If I want a different lover, I'll go take a chance with somebody else. But I think this is more about her realizing when the energy gets stagnant and blocked, nobody can give to each other. So there's not a hope or a prayer of getting things worked out. So that had to be addressed. Whomever blocked whomever, maybe she blocked them, maybe she shut down on them. That is going to be addressed, I think, on her side. Let me get one more on that. This is like a real truth that says no matter how powerful you are, if you want to do something but someone else has blocked you, you can't move forward. Six of Cups. Yeah, I do think that one of the big things that has to be addressed in her mind is, listen, I picked you for a reason. I still want to pick you. Sixes are a big thing with her, right? We have that Lovers, which is a 6. We have the 6 of Pentacles, and now we have that 6 of Cups. For her, it's very much about, we have to have equal flow. And sometimes I stopped the equal flow, but then sometimes you did also. So the big thing is, I want to establish, do we both want to give? Do we choose each other? Because I'm going to openly choose you and I'm not going to block you. Are you going to openly choose me and not going to block me? Are we going to be in a place where we have a safety net, a safety zone where we both say, look, if we're soulmates and we're coming back around, we're going to go ahead and face each other instead of turn away from each other when there's conflict? Are we going to first operate under a truce? I feel like this is a truce. If I pick you and you pick me, and they keep doing this again and again, right? We see these two that keep wanting to pick each other. The thing that becomes a big blockage is when they block each other. And now, what do you do when there's no communication? What do you do? How do you get things back on track? You can't. So they're going to have to establish this. Either we got to have a safe word, or we got to have a reassurance that even if we have conflict, which they undoubtedly will at different points in time, we have to know that, like, we're not walking away from each other unless we say, like, the exit word. If we're really done, then that's it, but there's no coming back from it. Let's put the parameters up so we know we can have conflict, but we're not going to walk out on each other, even if we're hot-headed and we needed some time to cool down. But let's establish, if we really didn't want to be together, we'll gracefully let each other go. But let's not pretend to call it quits and block each other when that's not what we want. Let's make sure we have parameters for that. Let's make sure we know if we're really done, then we're done. But let's not threaten to be done when we don't even mean it. But let's have a word that says, okay, this time I really mean it. It's pineapple. Pineapple is exit. That's it. We're done. I really do mean it. Or we never say that word because we don't want to be done. We want to find a way through it, even if we have to give each other space and time and grace. But let's go ahead and make sure that we have that comfort zone established. I think that's really important on her side. She's choosing it, but she wants to make sure that she gives them space to want to choose her as well. Because it's like, look, I'll let you go if you want me to let you go. But if you don't, let's make sure we don't play those games. I think cutting through the game playing is huge for these two. And I'm not saying it was intentional games. I think it just ended up that way a little bit. So final outcome for this duo. In some ways, I think all of the messages from all of the chakras could be applied to this situation. We have an 8 of Wands, big communication. We have a Queen of Swords, big truthful communication. We got honesty. We have forward motion, forward action. We have, I would argue, we have really powerful energy for these two. Finally, they're at a place where they can converse about the things that they've always needed to. You notice we have a big old scary like Wicker Man thing that's burning in the lake of fire, and they're standing over here going, so why didn't we just talk? Why did we let this become the thing, the big scary? You know, I think communication ultimately was their biggest hang up. Truthful communication, reassuring communication. That seems to be the most prominent reoccurring theme, right? On her side, she said, let's not do the thing where we threaten to walk away from each other if that's not even how we really feel. Let's make sure we always keep, open energy between us. Let's get to the point of really saying the things that we mean. I wonder if these two used silence as a weapon, and they're not going to do that anymore. But also, truth is important, but it's not the truth that like, here, I'm going to cut you with this because you know what? I don't really like that you did this or did that. I think it's more about let's use truth for, lifting one another up, reassuring one another, and being able to say honestly, like, what I want is to be successful together because I like all these things about you. Those are the things that I want. Those are the things, I want to reassure you that I'm here for valid reasons. I think that kind of communication was not the stuff they were very good at before. And I think if they got hurt by anything, they went into silent mode. If they can get through that part, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening from them from now on, I feel like these two could be so successful. They could become really good communicators. Yes, it was a big lesson to get them there. But that's what we are ending with is 2 cards of communication. So, and motion forward. And of course, that's how we began, was all about communication, throat chakra energy. So even though this was a follow-up on the solar plexus, you notice how it got woven in once again to the importance of, if I want something from the solar plexus and my heart really wants it, then my throat should say it. And then maybe if I can envision me having the success that I want from that third eye, then I can actually make it happen. And if I can say, there's still no guarantee that someone will love me forever, even if they do right now, but I do it because I do whatever the fuck I want. And I said I wanted to love this person. Then I'm not afraid of what happens because I already am getting what I needed to out of life. I'm doing the thing that is right for me, hearing my own higher self tell me which direction to go. So that's the way I would wrap this one up. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Chakra Dancing Warrior Princess. I've never even heard of that. That sounds amazing. I've never heard of that. Amanda, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the recap. Yeah, I had fun with that one too. I've never heard of chakra dancing. I've heard of color baths. Now, actually, I was not so heavily steeped in chakras, but more the Chinese meridians. And chakras and meridians, they kind of, we're talking about the same thing. Energy flows within the body that, kind of, they say anyway, sometimes overlap with different nerve plexuses and, different glands within the body. And so I just think that it's interesting that, I just talked about 7 chakras, but others say that there's over 100 of chakras. And so anyway, it's just kind of an interesting concept since I personally, I don't have a strong belief in any of it, but I also don't not believe in any of it because we're all energy and we know that we have a nervous system and that's all energy. And so why could we not have, additional energy patterns and flows that govern the rest of us? I'm very open-minded to things, especially when I don't have quantified, testable, exact information to go off of. So I just like the idea because I think anything that expands the mind can be inspirational, and that's what I liked about the concept of the chakras and energy sources and what those might represent. And so I enjoyed this one thoroughly. The whole series this week was really fun. But yeah, now we'll switch things up just a little bit for next week, and so I'll see you guys starting tomorrow. I think right now I have just one more person who's contacted me, a member that didn't get a card pull yet. I'm still kind of doing final call on that. I'll post a little message a little bit later. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Father's Day, and I will see you guys again in not too long from now. All right, bye for right now.